everyone, Ren here, and recently I had an encounter which got me thinking, and I wanted to talk about it with you and share my thoughts, and then you can share your thoughts and we can just have a bookish discussion. So the other day I was perusing the YA section and I was with a friend and I went into a conversation about YA and I liked it and all that jazz, because I do. Someone overheard this conversation and they said, "You'll never learn anything if you keep reading this teenage nonsense." Now just hold on a second. Okay, so basically the argument was that fictional books are not educational, and they went on to sort of inform me that books that are fictional and that are set in fictitious worlds and that are about fictitious people are not in any way educational, and that you should spend more time reading books that are educational and more non-fiction books and books about specific topics rather than reading books that are stories and fictional stories. Apparently rereading Harry Potter means that I'm stupid. I thought this was a really interesting topic of discussion, and I thought it was a really interesting thing to talk about, so I wanted to talk about the idea of fictional books. Are they educational? Am I taking anything of benefit from these fictional worlds, from all of these YA books that I read and these children's books that I read? Or is it just making space in my brain for fictional characters and caring about fictional worlds when I should be reading other things instead? I don't think so. I personally do not think that you are not learning anything if you're only reading fictional books. When you're in school, and obviously school is important and education is important, you could read a maths textbook and learn about how to solve problems. That's really good, but that's only sort of for one specific thing. You learn about that specific maths thing. If you read a book about physics, you're going to learn about physics. If you read a book about psychology, you're going to learn about psychology. But I find those things interesting. I do read books about psychology. I have a degree in psychology, and I also really enjoy other subjects too. My reading material is not just YA, it's a wide range, but it wouldn't matter if it was just YA, and it doesn't reflect your intelligence based on what books you read, and it doesn't affect what you take from it. Whenever someone reads a book, no two people's experience of reading that book is going to be the same. There's going to be something that you take from that book, whether it be relating to a character, relating to something that happened, whether it just be something as simple as not understanding a word that was said and finding out what that word meant, in which context to use it, and then having that word in your head and in your vocabulary for the future. There are lots and lots of books and quite a massive range of children's and young adult books that focus on family life and relationships and friends and the LGBTQ+ spectrum, and there's lots of different books that focus on lots and lots of different issues, and they are wonderful. There are so many children's books. Jacqueline Wilson is one of the authors, for example. Wonder is another book. A Thing About Jellyfish. The Many Worlds of L.B. Bright. A Boy Called Hope. Harry Potter as well. And I will stop talking about Harry Potter eventually, I'm sorry. Harry Potter is not just a children's adventure, you know, it's that at the surface, but when it goes deeper, so much of it is about loss and suffering and how we deal with these things, and lots and lots and lots of different elements, which I'm going to sort of go really in depth with when I do my 7-part video series about rereading each particular book. There's so much more to these books than just what meets the eye, and if a child that's going through something reads a book that they can relate to, they're going to take something from it. And it may not be educational in the sense of it teaches them how to solve something, but it will give them knowledge of something and it will inform them, and I think they are educational in that sense because it gives someone something to learn and something to take from something. Whatever they take from that book then goes into themselves, and then they apply that to different things and different situations, and it makes them think about things differently, which I think is wonderful. For so many books I have read them, related to them, the characters has been going through something, and I've recognised that in myself, helped me sort of understand things. I've read books that have helped me come to terms with things and helped me understand things that I didn't understand in more detail and in more depth, and how things can happen. Even books where the main character might have mental illness. It might be a mental illness that I've never ever encountered. I might read a book, it doesn't matter if that book's fictional or not, but if it's written well and it's written correctly and it's a correct representation of that mental illness, then I'm going to learn something. It's the same with LGBTQ matters. The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. I've met her a couple of times, I've spoken with her a couple of times about the book, and she's so lovely. And she said, you know, she did lots of research, she wanted to make sure that it was right, and that it was a correct representation, and the feelings that David is having in the books and the things that they go through. It really, you know, was very eye-opening. Having those feelings, that's something that I can't relate to, but that book really opened my eyes and it educated me. If someone isn't part of the LGBTQ+ spectrum, but they read a book which has accurately represented represented someone that is, they are going to learn something and they are going to take something from it. I also think that historical fiction books can also be really good if they're accurate and done at the correct time. I think they can be amazing, not just YA historical books, but adult historical books, historical fiction, historical crime fiction, just like the massive range of it. There's so much, and obviously no one can ever get history completely accurate because all of it is what's, you know, been passed down to. But say, for example, the musical Hamilton, obviously it's not YA, and it's not a book, it's not 100% historically accurate, but you know, it teaches you something about someone that existed in history and makes you want to go and research more. And there are books that do the same thing. There are books where people are mentioned, books where you want to go and figure out, okay, this person did this, and what was that? Like, when was that happened? And they read it and then they learn something about what happened. Then that's really important, and that there is so much that they could take from that. I think the thing with books is that they teach you so much sort of about feelings and people and experiences. Textbooks and informative non-fiction books teach you things, of course they do, but in a very, very sort of clinical, factual, this and this way. And I think one of the amazing ways to learn something is to experience it, or to experience someone experiencing it. And it doesn't matter if that person experiencing it is fictional, because you get to see that experience, and like I said, if it's represented correctly and portrayed correctly, you are going to take something from it and you are going to learn something from it. And I don't think that you're wasting your time at all if all you want to read is fictional books. YA in particular. YA is brilliant for being able to understand people's feelings and why people do things, and I think that that is great. I think books can teach you a lot and help you a lot, and you can get lots and lots and lots of things from them. There's such a wide range of books that have so many different stories, so many different characters that experience different things, that everyone is going to take something from and understand something from. And like I said, you know, even if it is just as simple as, this is a word, I didn't know what it meant, I didn't know the context it was used in, finding out what it was and then being able to use that at some point, that's learning something. There's learning something simple, but it's learning something that you might not have learned elsewhere if you hadn't read that particular book. I just get so angry when fiction, and particularly YA, it's always YA. People seem to think that YA is this evil thing which kills teenagers' brain cells because it's awful and you don't get anything from it, and it's just a silly book that's just all aimed at girls, and it's just this thing. I just think, no, it's not. There's so much that you can take from it, there's so much that you can get from it, and that it can teach you, and how so much it can help you as well. So many books that you can help people through so many things and help people understand so many things. And I think you need to go into it with open eyes and to actually think, I'm going to take something from it, rather than just cutting it off. The thing that actually has been helpful and so beneficial and very educational to so many people. And it might not be a textbook, it might not be a maths textbook with diagrams in it, it may not be a physics textbook teaching you about certain things, and those things are great too, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love them, I read my fair share of them, but these books teach you things too. Different things, but they teach you things. Definitely. You learn something every time you read a book. Every time. No matter what that book is. So yes, that was just my thoughts on the idea that fictional books, particularly YA, cannot be educational, because I really do think they can be. Let me know your thoughts on this. It's a really, really interesting topic of discussion. I've been talking about it quite a lot recently with friends of mine, and it's been very, very interesting. So I would love to start a discussion. If you are new here, I make bookish videos a couple of times a week, so if you would like to stick around and join us, then you can do so. As usual, all my links will be in the description below, so if you'd like to come hang out with me on other social medias, then you can do so. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you're doing really, really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!